guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is the March wrap-up, and it's honestly one of my favorite videos to film now because it used to be my least favorite and now it's my favorite because of this pyramid aspect. I love the pyramid. I think it's so fun. This March I read 17 books. I kind of went through like a slumpy phase for like a couple days where I just was not wanting to read a single book. 17. In my last video, not my last video, but in a video that I made this month, I was like, is the 24-hour readathon gonna up my book count? And it could be because of the 24-hour readathon, or it could just be because of spring break that I read more this month. But next month is finals month, and then I'm free until fall. Our drink lineup for today's video is a smoothie, which I made for the drink of the video. So hi guys, new drink. One thing about me is I hyperfixate, and so during spring break I didn't have a blender at my apartment, and so when I went home I was like, you know what sounds so good? A smoothie. And so I have a blender at home, and I made this smoothie every single day I was home from spring break. And when I ran out of frozen fruit, almost cried because I was like, I don't want to buy more frozen fruit and just leave it in the freezer and take up space that my mom's gonna need. So I was really upset. Then had the grand idea. They were like, just take the blender up to your apartment. And I was like, all right. Forgot the blender and had to go a week without the blender. And I was craving this smoothie for so long, but yeah, we're here. The blender's with me, and we're making the smoothie. The smoothie is frozen pineapple, mango, and strawberries. And then you add half water, like that much water, half lemonade. And to make it like a little more sweet, I add this Ocean Spray white cranberry strawberry juice, and then you blend. Done. I haven't had this in a couple days. I've saved it for this occasion. Next, I have a watered down, no ice diet Dr. Pepper. And then I have some water. Spoiler, I've upgraded my mic system. Yep, I'm professional now. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Have I not been recording? Okay, I'm gonna restart. I actually finished a book today. Today's like the 30th, and I had to rearrange this whole pyramid like 10 minutes ago. Took a lot of brain power, but here we are. If you've never been here before, I do monthly wrap-ups. I used to do sitting down, just showing you the book in the order that I read the book that month, and I decided no more. Oh no, we're back. I unplugged for a second. The lowest rated book that I read this month, and at the bottom of the pyramid we have A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner. This book was so bad. I gave this a 2 stars. It's marketed as like a toxic like kind of romance, and it was toxic. It wasn't as bad as Magnolia Park's toxic, but it was like it was toxic, but like there was no like substance to the toxicity, I don't think. And it was just these two characters. They were friends, but they never really got together. They liked each other and then went to college, liked each other, didn't get together. Adulthood, liked each other, didn't get together for the longest time. And so this basically follows B and Jamie doing what I just told you that they did. Yeah, it was just so bad. And then I read like this 5th anniversary edition. The story and new information only lasts up into 350 pages, and then it's this other like novella added on to this, which is Love Whiskey, and that's recounting the whole entire story word for word basically in Jamie's POV, because A Love Letter to Whiskey is in B's POV. I read basically 250 other pages retelling the story that I already just read, and I was so angry. I was like, this is adding nothing. Like, I knew everything, and like it's not adding like any like substance to Jamie's character, and I just honestly didn't like either of the characters. So 2 stars is pretty generous. I might put it down to a 1.5 stars. We're downgrading to 1.5 stars. Next on the pyramid we have Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. I love that name. I love Carrie Maniscalco's name. I love saying it. It's so fun to me. This book, 2-star book. It's a 2-star book. I just don't know what happened in here. The guy, Wrath, he's one of like the princes of hell. And him and his brothers are like just they're demons basically. Then we follow our main character Amelia. She and her sister are both witches, and so her grandmother is like the head witch of her family, and so she's very like, oh, don't talk to the demons, don't talk to the demons. I don't know why I said that in a country accent. They're in Italy, so that doesn't correlate at all. But Amelia gets involved with one of the princes of hell, Wrath, because okay, I didn't know if I was spoiling it, but her twin sister dies. And so Amelia's like, what the heck happened? Like, I just saw my sister die. And then she needs to get some answers. Her and Wrath team up. Fantasy aspect was just so out of my head, and I just didn't enjoy it at all. The other Princes of Hell, like, so Wrath's brothers, they were just like there, and they like came into the story for no reason. They added like some drama, but not really. I just didn't really care. It didn't really add anything. And so I really was very disappointed in this. The writing was like, it was mediocre, but there was something that was like so annoying, and like the only thing that I really like grasped, Amelia's only personality trait was that she liked cooking, and there was like just like some like random like Italian like dishes and like things and like how to prepare them that I was just like, I don't need this. This is just adding filler for no reason. And like, if the fantasy aspect's not strong, you're just adding random stuff to fill out this book. What are we doing here? So, very disappointed with this one. Next book, we have The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. I read thrillers this month, and if you know me, I'm not really a thriller girly, and this kind of solidified this. Why did I ask my TikTok followers, and like just people on TikTok in general, what thriller books do you guys recommend? This one, a reoccurring one. Why did I give it 2 stars? This one, we start out with a guy named Ted. He's at an airport lounge. His flight's delayed, and then he meets this girl, Lily. They start talking. He reveals that he wants to kill his wife because his wife is cheating on him. And so Lily's like, yeah, I'll help you. And it's just like a bunch of other characters that like connect to the story. The connections are too in an ideal world that like that actually happens. Like, oh my god, we're following along these characters' POVs and like their thought process of wanting to kill these people. And yeah, it's just criminals doing crime, and it just wasn't like, I wasn't thrilled, like I wasn't scared at all. I wasn't like, ooh, spooky, scary. Like, I kind of want to like have nightmares from reading thrillers. I don't know if that's possible or if I should find myself in the horror genre, but when I read a thriller, I want to be spooked out. Like, I want to be scared to stay alone. I gave that one 2 stars. Next, I have The Jasad Heir by Sarah Hashim. This one is so basic. I'm giving this a 2.5 stars. It's better than those. It's better than those. And the premise, it's been done before, and I just wasn't like that into the storyline. So basically we follow a character named Sylvia, and Sylvia is, surprise, the queen of a forgotten nation. She's the queen of a kingdom that has been overtaken, and so like all of her people, and the Jasad nation is the only kingdom with magic now, and so everyone turned on them. They were like, oh, these magic wielders are bad people now, and so they got turned on and then massacred the royals. Sylvia got out and she's alive, but no one knows the Jasad heir's alive. The prince of the enemy nation, okay, there's this competition every year, and he's trying to find the competitor for his nation. So yeah, very been seen before, and I don't know why it didn't hit this time. It just didn't hit this time. And on TikTok, I was marketed this. This is like true enemies to lovers. Why didn't I feel anything towards both of them? Like, Sylvia, she was just, there was a bunch of inner monologue and inner dialogue with a voice in her head. And I was just like over it. I was like, please, I'm done. I can't do it. The plot was very like predictable. Like, I predicted basically every single thing that was gonna happen, and I was just like trudging through this book, and I feel like it took me a long time. And after I read this book, and like while reading this book, I could feel myself slumping down, and I just did not want to read. So 2.5 stars. The next book we have is Love on the Brain by Ellie Hazelwood. I'm giving this one a 2.5 as well. Ellie Hazelwood's books are just so easy to read and just like fly through. This one, probably my least favorite Ellie Hazelwood book. I thought I would really like the NASA like thing, but okay. This book basically follows B and Levi, they were in the same doctorate program. She was like, oh, Levi hates me. And like the reasoning that she has for like thinking that he hates her, very valid. But Eli doesn't hate her. He's just like too into her that he has to like step back. They meet again, co-leading this project at NASA. He thinks that she's married, and so that's why he's just like very standoffish towards her. And then she just thinks that he hates her still from their doctorate days. And it was like a very like fun premise. I feel like this is peak Allie Hazelwood having just fun little quips and like quirky little things and like sciencey little jokes. We're just not funny. I just didn't really feel the connection towards them when they did finally get together. I was just like, okay, all right. I feel like Allie Hazelwood does this a bit better in her newer books, especially the one that I will show you. But in her newer books where she does like the guys kind of perspective in the book, and it just like makes them have so much more character, because Levi's lacking in every department of the character department. I was just like, okay, so 2.5 stars. Next we have A Tempest of Tea by House of Faisal. Very disappointed in this one. I'm giving this a 3 stars. In a previous video I said 3.5, but I'm knocking it down to 3 stars. It was just meh. This one it's a heist vampire fantasy. The vampires were just not fleshed out at all. Like the vampires, you could have put any mythical creature or like anything in this and like Control F and then like switched all the vampires to this, and it would have been fine still. The characters, I didn't really like the characters all that much. The main characters we follow are Arthi, Jin, and Flick, and I really like Jin and Flick. And Arthi and Jin, on paper, their like relationship is so like good, because they're like a found family and everything like that. Like there was nothing like that like pushed that relationship up in my head. And Arthi had like some weird love interests in this book that I was just like, why are we adding these? The heist wasn't that good. The heist was honestly so bad. Like it was just like whatever. The pacing was really slow. First part of the book was so boring, and it was just like a bunch of like, ooh, we're gonna do this. Next we have None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. I read this for my thriller video. I'm giving this a 3.75. This basically follows a character named Josie, and she meets this girl named Alex. They're both turning 45. So Josie goes up to Alex and is like, oh my god, we're birthday twins. Then Josie does some sleuthing, and she's like, oh, Alex is a famous podcaster that interviews like women and their stories and like how they overcome some like things in their life. Josie goes up to Alex and is like, oh my god, my life is crazy too. Do you want to hear a story of like, I'm gonna like elevate my life? So Alex is like, yeah. Josie's basically telling Alex her life, and it's absolutely insane. It follows like a podcast like format, so it's just like them two speaking to each other and like Josie saying her life. And then there's also like this Netflix documentary type of thing. I think the pacing in the first half of the book, it was very slow. I was just like, where are we going with this? And then stuff starts to rack up really quickly in the end, almost too quickly at the very end. And I was just like, can we just like have a moment to like just like kind of calm down? That's the only like criticism I have with this book, and it was a good time. Next on the pyramid we have Five Survived by Holly Jackson, the third and final thriller on this pyramid. They're in the lower half, but I gave this one 4 stars. I liked this. I think I like Holly Jackson's writing. I think she's very good at making me thrilled, and I was actually like kind of scared in this one. Sometimes she does things with like her writing that is just like so unnecessary. Like there was this minor detail that was repeated like 40 times. It basically has nothing to do with the whole story, but I was just like, I was transfixed on that detail, and I was just like, it's gonna come into play. Never came into play, so I was really upset. None of the characters I was really connected to, and like none of them had like a memorable personality, especially the main character. So I was just like, okay, whatever. And the twist was a little predictable, but it was just like, honestly, like not very like, wow, that's what you're here for? Like, this is why you held this up and almost wanted to kill us in this RV. So basically the story happens, and there's 6 friends, and well, not friends, loose friends. They're on this road trip with 6 of them in this RV, and then they get lost. They get stranded in the middle of nowhere. There's a gunman, and he's trying to get these 6 people to tell each other and him what the secret is. Next on the list, we have Meg Schaefer, The Lost Story. I got this arc off of NetGalley, so thank you, NetGalley. I read Meg Schaefer's The Wishing Game last month, and I absolutely adored The Wishing Game. The Lost Story, I gave it 4 stars, and just because between the first and second half of the book, they're two different entire books, and it's just like, okay, whatever. And I really enjoyed the first half of the book a lot more than I enjoyed the second half. This one's a lot more fantastical in the whole atmosphere and book. Basically, the story starts out with two boys, Jeremy and Ralph, and they're both lost. They show up one day like in like the middle of the woods, and so everyone's like, oh my god, these boys are back, and they just like never talk about their time when they're lost, and so like everyone's like, okay, where did you guys go? 15 years later, after they're lost, we follow both the boys and this other character. What's her name? Emily? And so Emily goes up to Jeremy, who is now, he's not a detective, but he is like a person that finds missing girls. And so his like whole thing is that he finds missing girls and women. Emily goes up to him and is like, oh, I have a missing sister. Can you help me find my missing sister? And then they go on a Narnia, Alice in Wonderland type adventure. 4 stars. Likes the book. Next on the pyramid we have Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I really enjoyed this book. This book is kind of like a history lesson. It's a critique on review culture and a critique in publishing in general. It's low-key kind of a thriller in the latter half of it, so there's that. It tackles such important topics in the book industry, but basically we follow a character, Juniper Song, and she has a big-time author friend named Athena, and Athena and her are hanging out one day, and then Athena dies. Juniper sees that Athena has like this manuscript of a book that no one knows about, but she's getting ready to be like, oh, this book is done, I'm gonna hand this in. Athena dies before that she can do that, and so Juniper's like, I have to finish this book and polish it up a little bit more. And Juniper takes that manuscript and rewrites it and publishes this book as her own creation under the name Juniper Song. Juniper Song's not her actual name. I just don't remember her actual name. But it goes out into the world, and then it follows that. Crazy concept. But R.F. Kuang's writing is so good. She makes you hate every single character in this book, which is crazy. And like, she makes these lies that Juniper is like thinking of, and she makes it sound rational in Juniper's head. So insane. Yeah, really enjoyed the book. Next on the pyramid, we have The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. This one is actually a reread. I read this when it came out last year in January, and I wanted to reread this so I can remember the events of this book to get into the next book, The Prisoner's Throne. When I first read it, I just was like so in the haze of like loving the Cruel Prince trilogy so much that I was just like, I was gonna love anything Holly Black wrote. When I first read it, it was like a 4.5. I've lowered it down to a 4 stars. I just think some of the plot lines and like the places that we went to were just very unnecessary in this book. It's longer than like Holly Black's other Elfhame books, and so I was just like, maybe she was just trying to like fill stuff out, but it really didn't make sense, and I was just like, okay, whatever, we're here, and I was just going along with it. We follow Ren's POV, which is a little girl that we meet in the 3rd book of the Folk of the Air trilogy. We follow Ren, and she is basically this little fae, and she has blue skin, long blue hair, she's got really sharp she's got really sharp teeth, and so she's very scary looking, like she's creepy, and she's like she's just a little girl. And so we see her aged up. Backstory is that she used to live with human parents and a human adopted sister, and then she gets taken back to the Fae world. Her actual like Fae parents were just like, no, you're here to be the queen of the ice court. So she's like, I don't wanna. Oak is Jude, the main character of the Folk of the Air trilogy's younger brother. He's aged up. I think they're like 17, 18, or 19, and we just follow them getting up to stuff in the Fae world. It's very magical, it's very atmospheric. I just love the world that Holly Black has written. So, and then this book, I really didn't care about Oak that much. I was just like, Oak's whatever. Oak's meh. 4 stars. I liked it enough to rate it 4 stars. Next on the pyramid, we have Not in Love by Allie Hazelwood. I love this book. It's at a 4 stars right now. It could really climb the more I think about it, but it was so good. It was so good. And this is I got off of NetGalley. This is coming out June 11th, and you best bet your bottom dollar that I will go to the bookstore and buy a physical copy of this book. I love this book so much. It's very reminiscent of like fanfic angst that it was just like, I ate it right up. I actually filmed a reading vlog, and it's on my TikTok. Shameless plug, but I'm doing like shorter, sporadic reading vlogs of just like single books on my TikTok. if I'm not like planning on doing, if they're not like coinciding with a bigger themed reading vlog that I'm gonna do on my YouTube channel. So I finished it yesterday. So amazing. I loved it so much. So if you like Ali Hazelwood's writing and you like Ali Hazelwood's books, I think this is my second favorite Ali Hazelwood book, and so I love it so much. This one is a lot spicier than Ali Hazelwood's previous books, and it's because the spice is rooted, and it's how both of our main characters, Eli and Rue, connect with each other and like deal with past traumas in their life. But they were just so cute, Eli and Rue. Also, Rue's for the tall girls. She's like 5'10", 5'9", and if you don't really like small Ali Hazelwood characters with tall men, Rue's for you. This one is a lot more physical, so keep that in mind. It tackles more like serious like insecurities and like traumas than Ali Hazelwood's other books, but I really enjoyed it nonetheless. This one is a lot more angsty. It's less sciencey than her other STEM books, but this still has a STEM aspect into it. But basically, we follow Rue and Eli. They meet on a hookup app. They don't hook up, but like she remembers him. And then the next day at work, Rue works for this company called Klein, and Klein is in some legal troubles. And so actually, Eli's company, Harkness, is trying to buy Klein. Rue's really good friends with the CEO and like founder of Klein. And so she's like, automatically, Eli and her are not clicking because he's trying to buy her friend's company, and she's like, I don't want that to happen. And so it's like this like kind of forbidden romance between them. Eli, the man Eli is, and it's just so good. I'm like, honestly, top tier book boyfriend. I'm not gonna lie, I love him so much. I think it's because in this book there's like, it's kind of like dual POV, and it's just like fun to read about how he thinks about Rue, because he's just like, he's so obsessed with her to the point it's just so good. Love it. I really love this book. It's one of my favorite contemporary romances now. 4 stars. Love it. I can't wait for you guys to read this. Next, I have The Sword of Kaigan by Emma Wang. I read this book in my 24-hour readathon, and I said that the first like 20% of the book, which is like 200 pages, nothing was clicking up here, and like the world building and the fantasy aspect, I was just like along for the ride, and then something just finally clicked and I was really enjoying the rest of the story. This book is a standalone high fantasy book. We follow a mom named Masaki, and so she and her family and her oldest son Mamoru, so they're living on the Kaigan Peninsula, and the Kaigan Peninsula has this elite force called the Sword of Kaigan, and it's basically all made up of men. The Empire has like led the Sword of Kaigan to believe that they're the elite dogs, and like they're like the top guys, but the Empire is lying to them because war plagues the Sword of Kaigan. The rest of the book, like 50% onwards, it just follows the aftermath of that battle. Very good, very well written, beautiful writing. I do think I want to read more of Emma Wang's other works. I know that Emma Wang has like more in this like universe, but is discontinued. I know Emma Wang is gonna come out with another book soon. I don't know when. I saw it on TikTok. Don't know how credible that source is. Next, I have Beartown by Frederick Backman. This book, it deals with so many topics. It's beautifully written, and I think this is like a translated book. You have to read this so slowly because you just want to take every bit of information in. But basically, we follow a bunch of different characters. We follow basically like what felt like the whole town of Beartown. So I was just like, dang. There are major trigger warnings for this book. Some main ones I would say are rape, sexual assault, and homophobia are in this book very heavily. Beartown is a town. It's a town in Sweden, I think. It's a very small town, and so they're relying on the ice hockey team of Beartown to like make it big and like win like their like championship or whatever, so that their town has more tourism and more people wanting to live here, and so like the town just like grows. The hockey players in this town are like the gods of this town, basically. Like in the townspeople head, the hockey team can do no wrong. the hockey team does wrong, and we follow that. The writing in here, I don't know how to say it. It's just so good. Like the way he wrote these characters and like the way he wrote like the town, it made it so real. Like I could vividly picture these people. He wrote in a way that I was just like so like I was very anxious reading this book. Like I don't know why, like my heart like started pounding a lot, and I really had to take a bunch of breaks in between. I was so immersed in this storyline. It's like very heartbreaking to like read about, but it is like so true. Like it's like so real that like yeah, it's insane to read about. But love this book. 4.5 stars. Yeah, the family and friendship in this book off the charts. So yeah, the next book we have is This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. When I first read this book, I gave it a 4.75, and looking back, I do think I was a little too quick with it, because looking back, I think it's a 4.5 now, but I do think I like This Could Be Us a little bit better than Before I Let Go, because even though I am an angst girl to my core, this, like, Before I Let Go, we just follow along Yasmin and Josiah, and it's just like rekindling a failed marriage, and I was just like, okay, that's fine. Like, it's a fun plot to like follow along. This one explored the two main love interests as characters, and it had a crazy, insane plot that was just so like encapturing that I was like, yeah, I love it so much. Basically, we follow Soledad, and she is in this marriage with this guy named Edward, and so the marriage is like not working out that well, and so she's just like, okay, whatever, like it's not like a big deal. And then something happens, causes their divorce, and then she meets this other guy who Edward works with named Judah. Judah he's a guy. I love Judah. In his storyline, he has an ex-wife that he's really still close with. Like they co-parent their two autistic sons so well, and I love that whole family dynamic, and she's like, I just love him and his family, and I love Soledad and her girls. I just love them. I think it was just a fun book to follow along with, and I'm very excited for the next book in this series. Next, I have A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. I saw this one guy on TikTok and he raved about A Dowry of Blood, and I was just like, okay, whatever. This one, it's like a fiction fantasy horror book, and it was just so good. It's a retelling of Dracula and his many brides, but instead of brides, it's his many lovers. This is uniquely written in like a first person, second person perspective, but it's Constanta, and she is telling Dracula, who is unnamed this entire book, she's telling him how she felt throughout their whole relationship and what led her to eventually killing him. It follows along their lovers. It's like depicting queer love in such a beautiful way. But like, it was just so beautiful. I love Constanta. I love all the characters except for the unnamed bad guy. And I think it was just like so uniquely written because she's writing her recounting of their time together, and she's like, I need to know why I did this, and so she's like spilling it out to him. It's like a letter to him and like what he did to them that made her do this, and she's just basically looking out for her family, and it's so good. I love it so much. I don't remember if I cried about it, but why am I like tearing up thinking about it? But it was so amazing. Very close to a 5 stars. I think it's at a 4.5 in my rating book, but like I love the story and I love it so much. So if anybody has any books that are anything close to this, I'll read it because it's so good. I read it on Kindle Unlimited. It's on Kindle Unlimited right now, and I just had to buy a physical copy because I loved it so much. And at the top of the pyramid, and my favorite book that I read this month is The Prisoner's Throne by Holly Black. Here she is in all her glory. I love this book. It wrapped up Ren and Oak's storyline so well. There were so many good quotes, and like I just love being in this universe. And this book is actually written in Oak's POV, which is something I wasn't expecting. I was expecting to be back in Ren's POV, but I'm glad we got Oak's POV, especially after what happened at the end of The Stolen Heir. So good. This one's shorter than the other one. I think it's like 50 pages shorter, and it's like the perfect length. Like 350 is like the perfect length for these books, and I just love it so much. I gave this 4.5 stars. I love Elfheim. I love the universe that Holly Black has made with these books, and I love them so much. There's some Jude and Carden like cameos in this book. I love Jude and Garden so much. I don't know I don't know what it is about them. I love them. I just love their family dynamic. But basically, Oak is like mastermind coded. He made the choice to like seem like a ditzy little boy, and you're just like, yeah, I don't really know how to do stuff. So like he pretends that he doesn't know how to like fight and stuff like that. So they don't really expect much of Oak. And so Jude is very fiercely protective of Oak. And so when she sees like he's not like this little kid anymore, she's just like, whoa, like what am I supposed to do? So it follows that like dynamic. Oak, he has like some insecurities and like reservations about like himself, and so he doesn't know if people love him for him or just because of what he is. But Oak and Ren, they connect on such a level that is like so beautiful, and I love them so much. Love this book. It's my favorite book that I read this month, and that's all the books that we read this month. There's the final pyramid. If you watch my other videos, it will stay on the whole month. It will stay like this the whole month until the next pyramid comes up. I love the little pyramid. It's like such fun wall art to me. It's still black and white. I'm so sorry. Could not bite the bullet. Could not spend, I didn't even check how much it would be to print out all these colored pictures, but yeah, I kind of do like the black and white. I think it's fun. It's whatever. It makes me look sophisticated, I guess. But overall, it was a pretty good reading month. I had a bunch of 4 stars, 4 and above. Had some books that I just didn't really care about, but that's with every month, okay? I loved them all. Oh, this, and when this comes out, please read it. It's so good. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my monthly wrap up. I love the pyramid aspect, but please be honest if you like sitting down, formally speaking to you, or if you like the pyramid, because I don't know, I just love the pyramid. I think it's so fun to like, and it's less boring for me to edit, but whatever, I'll do whatever you guys want me to do. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.